All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to move on to our next steps. And let's say you're back into Repl.it and you're not really sure how to get back to the old code you were at. Well, right now I'm at home, and if I click on my REPLs, this folder right here, I'll be able to see the Repl.its that I've created previously. So I've just got this one. Your name might be different. I did ask you to name it this, but if it's not named that, it's not the end of the world. Just know which one you're dealing with. And if I click on this, then what will generate is the code that I had last time I was coding inside here, unless I run into some kind of internal error like they had down there. So I'll go ahead and reload this and move over to the chapter book while that's working its way out. So I introduced you to an online text known as Think Java, and we're dealing with chapter 3. Now I'm going to briefly go over some minor details of this chapter, as I do expect you to read through it. Remember, good practice when you're reading through a chapter about programming is to kind of take a second after you read a particular section and see if there's something you could code or test out or verify within the writing, just so you can kind of get a better idea of it. You don't have to do necessarily anything too crazy, but I do recommend testing things out. Again, make sure you're reading this, because some of this I'm just going to ignore, even though you'll need information on it, and some of it I'm just going to gloss over real quickly, again, just to give you a basic foundation. Alright, so there are some classes that are inherent in the Java libraries, so they allow us to quickly plug them in and use them. The system class is one of those. As a matter of fact, we've used system for lots of things. When we type in system.out.println, that is us using the system class and then a method that allows us to print out that's found in the system class. The scanner class, we've used that previously too, and the scanner class basically scans the program waiting for inputs. We've used that before as well. In order to use these classes, typically we have to import, and that's when we see an import statement. And we've done these before too, where we just go ahead and run an import statement saying what API, what package or packages, and which class we need. So the reason why I chose this particular book is because for a good deal of it, there's some interactivity. You can actually code within here. You don't necessarily have to use Repl.it all the time. So let's take a look at this program here real quick. I do want to bring your attention to the fact that it first starts out line 1 with an import java.util.scanner. So that is us importing the work of the scanner class that's already been created. We're going to add it to this class. This class is known as Echo. It could have been named anything, but we named it Echo. And then we've got our main method, and then everything that happens in the main method. The main method closes, and then the class closes. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and run this code and kind of step by step it with you so you understand how it's running. So when I run the code, it'll compile, it goes to the Java virtual machine, and then it executes the code. And I see here type something, and then I've got a blinking line here. Well, when this code first starts and it was kind of thinking and compiling, what happened was the scanner class was added to our echo class. And then the main method was entered into. A string variable named line was created, though we didn't visually see anything. And then a scanner object, which we will name as in, was also assigned a new scanner object, specifically for the purpose of input, which is why we use the system.in. And then there is a message system.out.print, and then the string literal type something with a semicolon, which is why it reads type something with a semicolon. But we've also got this kind of box here that's just waiting for something. It's just blinking. The reason why is because we're right here in the code right now. We're right now waiting to assign line, which is this string variable up here, the value of whatever we type in to in, which is the scanner object, next line. This basically means, hey, I'm going to take in a string, so go ahead and type. So if I typed in a message and then I hit enter, what happens is when I typed in I miss you guys, line, which is a string variable, was assigned that input, which I typed, and then it goes to the next line of code, system.out.println, you said, colon, and then concatenate using the plus sign, line. Well, line is I miss you guys, so that's why it types out, you said I miss you guys. Type something else. Well, here we are, type something else, and we're hanging up at the next one. Notice how it says line equals next line. Basically, what that means is we're going to overwrite the value of line. Now, the value of line right now is I miss you guys with an exclamation point, but because I'm right here, I'm about to overwrite that. Alright, so then the next line prints out you also said plus or concatenate line. So again, I'm printing out line, but because I overwrote it here, it's printing out a completely different message, which is the message I typed in the second time. Hope to see you soon. Alright, so I'm going to take a little bit of this and I'm going to move over to my Repl.it window and work with you a little bit. So the first thing that we have to do is import that scanner, because I'm going to use user input here. So I've imported the scanner. Now, just to deviate a little bit from this code, I'm going to change it up just a little bit. So in order to have a scanner, I first must declare one. So hey, I want a scanner. I'm gonna name it inputs with a plural, and I'm going to assign it a new scanner object which has the purpose of input. So that's basically what that means. Now notice how their scanner name was in and my scanner name is inputs. It doesn't matter, it's just a name, it's a variable name. I just created a variable that's a scanner. I'm calling mine inputs, they call theirs in. To be quite honest with you, in tends to be the default for an input name for a scanner, but it doesn't matter either way. Now I'm also going to create a string variable, and I'm going to call it name, and I'm going to create a double variable, and I'm going to call it inches tall. Alright, now if I run this code, we're going to go ahead and see that nothing has visually changed from the perspective of the user of the program. If I would have ran this code before entering the import statement and the 3 lines of code that I just added, visually it would have executed the same way. It would have compiled, it would have said hello world, how are you, and then it would have exited right here, denoted by this red arrow. Alright, so nothing visually has changed just yet, even though I've added lines of code. We'll go ahead and we'll change that real quick. So I'm going to say, I'm going to edit this to just read hello, and then I'm going to edit this, what is your name? Question mark. Now, this is my opportunity, now that I've prompted the user to type in something, this is my opportunity to go ahead and get some information for them. So I'm going to assign to the string variable name the inputs of inputs dot next line. Alright, so now if I run this code, we will see that it runs almost the same, but if we're observant, we'll notice a little difference. Right now it reads hello, what is your name? But it also hasn't exited. There's no red arrow denoting an exit. It's hanging up here. The reason why it's hanging up here is because right now we're waiting for input from the scanner object, inputs, and we're waiting to assign it to the variable name. So if I say that, it just ends. Alright? So it didn't really do anything with the input. It just took the input and then exited out of the program. So what we will do is, let's snag this line right here. And then let's go ahead and paste that. I will add hello after the string literal quotations. I will concatenate using the plus sign, and then I will use the name variable, which is that string, and I will go ahead and print out hello, and then concatenate whatever name is. So if I run this code now, we will go ahead and see that it executes much the same. Hello, what is your name? Waits for a name. I'm going to go ahead and call myself Bob. And then it'll read hello Bob. I notice there's no space there. It's all kind of one big word. So I'll fix that just by adding a space here. And then if I go ahead and run it again, that error will now be taken care of. So this is how I would take in a string variable. All right. Part of your challenge is to take in numerical values. So I'm going to go ahead and do a double variable right now, and I'm doing doubles because they take in decimal places and stuff like that. I will go ahead and I will print out another prompt. I will say, how many inches tall are you? And then I will take my double known as inches tall, and I will assign it, and this is something really important to notice, inputs, which is my scanner object, dot next double. So if I were to have used inputs dot next line, it would try to take a string variable, which are just a line of characters essentially, and put it into a double. It would have created an error. As a matter of fact, I suggest you try it just to test it out, just so you can visually see that. But I'm going to leave my code correct here because I don't want to make this video any longer than it needs to be, and I don't want to add confusion. So now I've created a situation where inches tall is assigned the value of whatever the user inputs, and it's going to be a double that I'm waiting to input. And then I'm going to print out system.out.println you are space concatenates inches tall concatenate okay. So now what I've done is I've taken in the input and I've also printed it out. Notice how this time, instead of concatenating the variable at the end of a string, I'm concatenating it in the middle. So you are, double quotes, concatenate, inches tall, concatenate, double quotes. So I almost missed that. There you go, double quotes. All right, so let me go ahead and run this, make sure I don't have any errors. All right, hello, what is your name? All right, how many inches tall are you? 56. Bam. You are 56 inches tall. All right, so that's what it did there. Now, I've got that, and I've been able to input information into variables. Now, if I wanted to, I'm going to show you a quick little trick here. If I wanted to take in the variable inches tall, and I wanted to multiply it by 2, I could say, okay, inches tall is assigned the value of inches tall times 2. And then, if I printed out a message, so I'm going to print out a message that says I am actually, and whatever the user puts in, I'm going to be twice their height, which is why I multiplied it by 2. So I'm going to say I am actually, concatenate, inches tall, concatenate, space, inches tall. All right, so now that I've got that, I'm going to go ahead and run it, and now you'll see that it will take the user's name. What is your name? So we'll put Hannah back in, and then it'll ask Hannah, how tall are you? How many inches tall? And now if Hannah says she is, we'll make the math easy, 50 inches tall, my program will say, well, I'm 100 inches tall. So you are 50 inches tall. I am actually 100 inches tall. So whatever the user puts in, it doubles because we put a little bit of math in here. All right. So that's the end of my conversation for this. Hopefully, as you read through the chapter, it will help you learn a little bit of the scanner class, how to use some math, and how to complete your challenge that was given upon to you. All right. So good luck with that.